There's a special feature Shiur in honor of 100 years since the establishment in the Yisud of the Daf Yomi in Chodesh El Tov Reish Pei Gimel in the Knessia Agdula by Rabbi Meir Shapiro. I'd like to give some historical background and then to learn up how did the establishment of this unique Daf Yomi's limud came about. As we know, back before Vienna, Tov Reish Pei Gimel, much earlier, there was a need by the Gedolah, and actually the one who was initiated was the younger Primoiser Grudzinski, who he wanted to start some kind of a klal. Actually started with the idea of a newspaper. He wrote a letter to his friend, his youth friend, Rabbi Isaac Halevi Rabinovich, the Doyers Harishonim, and Harav Halevi was called by the Deutsche Yidden, and he wanted, together with Reb Chaim Brisker, the Netziv, Rabbi Tzal Ponevezher, Reb David Karliner, who was in Pinsk, and they wrote a letter, Reb Chaim Oizer wrote a letter to the Chofetz Chaim and to Harav Yitzchok Isaac Halevi Rabinovich. And he wanted to make some kind of a kinus to put everyone together and to come to ideas which are negeya to Klal Yisrael. After all Gedolah Yisrael agreed, it took a period of 6 months back and forth letters. It is not the place to elaborate. They decided they have to get together. And in Chodesh of Tov Reish Samach Tes, this is the summer of 1909, all the Rabbonim were asked by Reb Chaim Oizer to come to a place called Bad Homburg, which was a place people used to go for a dacha. And the fact that so many people traveled there, Reb Chaim Oizer did not want to make any headlines. And he called 15 to 20 Rabbonim to come. And there was the place was not far from Frankfurt. It was a kosher hotel there. And he asked the Askonim, the Deutsche Askonim, to accommodate this Asifa. Harav Halevi did not know the Rebbe, the Naya Gerer Rebbe, the Imre Emes. Just to give you a shtickle background on time, the Sfas Emes was Nifte Tov Reish Samach. This is 4 years after the Sfas Emes, and the Imre Emes of Avamotr von Ger was a Frische Gerer Rebbe, and Reb Chaim Brisker told him that he must invite the Naya Gerer Rebbe, the young Gerer Rebbe, to this Asifa. So, who came to that Asifa in Bad Homburg? Reb Chaim Brisker, Chaim Oizer, of course, Reb Leizer Telzer, mein Elter Zeide, who was mamish less than a year before his Ptira, Reb Leizer Telzer, the Godel Miminsk, and there were other Rabbonim who came, but those were the people who headed this Asif. And they decided that they have to deposit or give the tafkid of the organization of Agudath Yisrael to the Deutsche Askonim, because it was, for many reasons, but amongst others, in Poland and Russia there was a Reisig Zeres, and in Deutschland they had much more freedom to maneuver around. And also they had more organizational skills and know-how, and therefore they were mafkid, they deposited the yoch of this Frankfurter Rabbonim to be the head of Agudath Yisrael, which learned to turn later on to be Agudath Yisrael. To make a long story short, in that following winter, Daled Odor Aleph, Tov Reish Ayin, 1910, Blazer Tolzes, Shenavek, and they made another Veidah, which was called Katovich. They went to Katovich, and they came to Katovich. That was really the first Asifa. It's called the Knessia Agdולה, Katovich. that was the Ve'idas HaYesoid, the fundamental Ve'ida, Kinus, of the Katowice Asifer. This Katowice gathering, which happened on Yud Sivan Tofreish Ayin Beis, the summer of 1912, for 3 days, and it was Lamaise who came to that Ve'ida. Chaim Brisker was there, so Meir de Kazach, Chaim Brisker participated. Meir Simcha, also Meir, and the Gerer Rebbe, who was already Gerer Rebbe a shtickle longer, 7 years after the ptir of his father, and in Rachavei Poilon he was Mekubels, the Greste Polish Rebbe. And there were other Rabbanim which came across from all areas throughout, from Hungary, from Deutschland, Rabbi Yitzchak Halevi, there was David Hoffman, Rav Bieberfeld, Bondi, Breuer, all the Deutsche Rabbanim, but they headed the 3 Gedolah Yisrael, which were headed this Asife in Katowice, were Reb Chaim Brisker, Reb Meir Simcha, and Reb Chaim Oizer Koczynski, together with the Ger Rebbe, who was the Imre Emes, the young Ger Rebbe. Lamaise, as they came about to this Asife, there were many contradictions from different areas and different sides and different spectrums, each one represent them. And there were Yidden that came from Deutschland, modern Orthodox Yidden. There were Yidden that came from other parts of Europe. There were people came from Yerushalayim. Afilo Amerikaner Rabbanim participated in Katovich. It was a Chaim Brisker, the Litvischer, with the Ger Rebbe, the Polischer, with Rabbi Simcha, with Zaingoines. And who shows up all the way in the background? A young Rav, this is 1912, a young Rav who was not part of the Rabbanim of the list, Rabbi Meir Shapiro, who was a younger man. Meir Shapiro was born 1887. You're talking about he was a 25-year-old Galine Rav. It was his first Stella that he received in Galine, in Galicia. He was known to be a Veltz Ilui, but of course, due to his age and his being a younger 25-year-old, a younger man, he did not sit on the podium. He was one of the observers. Different historians are making different kind of comments. Exactly what kind of role did he play in the Katowice Ve'ida? But he was a young Rav of 25 years of age who participated in this Asife in Katowice. When they came back home, there were different achlotas, that historical decisions that they had to make in Katowice, but that's not today the topic that we're speaking about. We would like to speak about that Daf Yomi. Rabbi Meir Shapiro comes back home to Galine, and he writes a maimer he gave the name a maimer called Sharsheres Hazov, the golden chain. And so he writes, I would read in Loshe Kodesh and I will translate thereafter. Kasher nososi lekatavich lishtatef beknessia l'shem shamayim. When I went to Katowice to participate in this knessia l'shem shamayim, nikro b'moichi shaila chamura. I had a very schwer shaila which bothered me. Eichi tochen. How is it possible at all? She'agoyen halitoi mibrisk Rabbi Chaim Soloveitchik. Zecher Tzadik Livroch, that this huge giant, this Goyen Reb Chaim Soloveitchik, Reb Chaim Brisker, Yenahel Masu Matnu, will be able to negotiate. Im Reb Yankev Rosenheim, Yehudi Frankfurtayim Imayra Europa. He calls Reb Yankev Rosenheim a Frankfurter Yid from West Europe. How is it possible to have negotiations between these two personalities? Reb Chaim writes of Meir Shapiro, Shoyef lirois es Knesset Yisrael kulo smudo ledaladamis shel aloch. He is seeking, and his entire drive is to see Gans Knesset Yisrael linked to daladamis shel aloch, not more, not less. V'le Rabbi Yankev Rosenheim, but to Rabbi Yankev Rosenheim, hamusogim sheloi, what's his musogim? Ketzad Yuchal Yehudi Shehigia meAmerica. How is it possible that a Yid that comes from America, ha-Chomronis, the materialistic America, lehaskim lahashkafaisov, sheyehudi me'ayishuvei Yerushalmi ayoshod, how can an American Chomradik Yid could be gathering together, interact with the Yid from the Alti Yerushalayim Yishuv? That's what's bothering him. So Reb Chaim Brisker, who is looking for the Aldama Shel Alocha, has to sit by the table with a Frankfurter Yid that all that bothers him, how do you negotiate between a Yerushalayim Dike Alte Fatzaitik Yid and a Fleischike Moisres Dike Amerikaner Yid? V'keitzad yuchal Yehudi, another thing that bothers me, Eichad yuchal Yehudi Orthodoxy, an Orthodox Jew from Holland, Laleches shluv yad, to God, to hold hand in hand, im shomer maseires kapdoni me'ayora bepoilin, with a guy who is a real frume mensch from the alte Polish Shtut. This is what was bothering me. Oide, I will confess, writes, I'm reading you Mila b'Mila, the Teuchen HaMaimer from Sharsheres Hazov. Oide, I will confess, Dr. Meir Shapiro. Ha'inyan hazeh, this inyan torafes menuchas nafshi. I was in ganzen Fatumult. I did not know what to do. Ma oseh Yehudi kamoini. What does a Yid like me do? B'mikre kazeh, in such an instance, patachti es yalkuti, I open up my rucksack, my backpack, hoitzesi maseches brochis, I started learning maseches brochis, beginning of Shas, v'yoshavti li'sameik b'divrei Agmor. I sat down to get fatift in the first Gemara in brochis of Beis Amud Aleph. Siyamti lilmud ha-Mishnah HaRishayna. The first Mishnah is Me'mosai koyer nishma be'aris mishosh ha-koyanim b'chtosim v'elchel b'tur mosod. Mishnah asks what time you could start saying Krishme shel Arvis, v'imshachti b'kushas Agmor, and I continue to the Gemara's kasha. Tone aheichekoi. What's the Gemara's kasha? If the Mishnah would have had an introduction that there's a mitzvah sasemin ha'torah to read, to say every day Krishme shachis shel Arvis, then you could say, ask as the second Mishnah should be Me'mosai koyer nishma be'arvis. But to walk in through an open door, nobody knows there is such a concept, there is such a mitzvah, it's somehow ambiguous. The Gemara says, where is it coming from? Says Rabbi Meir Shapiro, listen to these wonderful words. I got tangled in my mind, this machshavas. Kama v'kama kushis. I had a bunch of questions, several questions in my mind. Chipasti hesber sheyaniach daiti. I was looking for some kind of a hesber that would calm my mind. I should come to some kind of pshat for all the kasha that bother me with the very first Gemara Maseches Brochis. Be'oisoi rega, he says, Chipasti hesber, I was looking for an explanation, sheyaniach daiti, that I should be able to. Where did I look? Berashi, B'Teises, B'Marsho, B'Maram. I looked in 4 places, in Rashi, in Teises, and Marsho, Maram. La'achar mahaloch omol v'yegia b'moichi. Okay? Mahaloch she'in here es hasvach. I had a mahalach that should take me, to untangle me from all the schwerigkeit, from all the complication. Boy berega, at that moment, nitznetz b'moichi hapitorin. I had the solution to all my problems. And here is the words of Rabbi Meir Shapiro. Ha-Mishnah, the Mishnah, noitzro be'eretz Yisrael. The Mishnayos were created by the Tanoim. Where are the Tanoim sitting? Tanoim Eretz Yisrael. The Tanoim were sitting in Eretz Yisrael. So the Mishnah, the birth of the Mishnah, the creation, the Yetzirah of the Mishnah was in Eretz Yisrael. Ha-Talmud, beBavel, not in Eretz Yisrael, in Bavel. The Talmud was created in Bavel. Though the Mishnah was created in Eretz Yisrael, the Talmud was Noitza beBavel. Pirush Rashi be'Ashkenaz. Rashi wrote his Pirush in Ashkenaz. Ashkenaz was Deutschland. In different cities in Germany, that's where Rashi wrote his Pirush. V'atoises betzorfas. Toises is Chach mitzorfas. Chach mit Paris, Chach mitzorfas. So Rashi is in Ashkenaz, Toises is in Tzorfas. Maharsha is Goyer Belite. Maharsha was a Litvische. Austria were given a Stott in Lite. Umaharam, the Maharam, Belublin Hapoilonis in the Polish Lublin. Kol echod mehem, each and every one of the authors of the basic fundamental, where we have Gemara, Rashi, Tosfos, Maharsha, Maharam, what we're used to, every single one he writes, Zovis Hareiyah Shaloi, has his own angle, his own scope, his own vision. Hashkofoisem Shaloi, he has his own hashkof. V'tzivyoin hachaim Shaloi, and different culture for wherever they were, each and one of these authors, each one of these creation. Ubechol zois, kshemagim hadvorim l'daf haGemara from deswegen. When it comes to the Plata Gemara, mislaktim kulom bevirur hashayla anitzchis. Everyone comes to be on a consensus on the same page. Tone oheichekoi. The Mishnah from Eretz Yisrael and the Gemara from Bavel, the Rashi from Ashkenaz and the Tosfos from Tzorfas, the Maharsha from Lit and the Maharam from Lublin, they all come to the very same consensus statement. Tone oheichekoi. Kach koram oir vegidim. He writes in his beautiful language, koram oir vegidim, the skin and the gidim and the blood vessels, shel rayoin hadaf ha-Yomi. That's when I thought about it. So this is in Katovich. This is in 1912. This is a younger man, Rabbi Meir Shapiro, the Galina Rov, a frische, younger man at the age of 25. Unfortunately, they wanted to have an ex-Ve'idah, but in 1914 was the First World War. The Welt gewinnt vertummelt und verrasch wird, put everything on the side till 1918. 1918, Reb Chaim HaLevi ist nifter geworden. And to make a long story short, until Klal Yisrael got together, they came, it was the Knessia Agdolah, which was called the first Knessia Agdolah in Katowice. For some reason or another, they didn't call it Knessia Agdolah, and not in Bad Homburg. That was called Ve'idah, that was called the conference. But the first Knessia Agdolah, as the Chofetz Chaim called it, the Knessia L'Shem Shamayim, was convened in Chodesh Elul Tov Reish Pei Gimel, exactly 100 years ago today. By the way, the first three Knessias, first one and the second one both in Vienna, and the third one in Marienbad in Czechoslovakia, all of them were in the first 2 weeks of Chodesh Elul. For some reason or another, it's a subject b'fnei atzmai. The Knessia Agdolah started in Hey Elul, and it went to Yud Beis Elul. In the fifth meeting, on Tes Elul Tov Reish Bei Gimel, came everybody to the Ve'idah HaChamishis. There were the first session, second session, staff sessions. Who were there present at the table? As I said, Reb Chaim Briskich and Ish gelebt. The Grace three Rebbes or Manhigim, which were sitting up front, was the Chofetz Chaim. The video from the Chofetz Chaim going in, that's from Yene Asife, exactly 100 years ago, Elul Tov Reish Pei Gimel. The Gerer Rebbe, at that time already, we're talking about, this is Shein Tov Reish Pei Gimel, talking about 18 years after he became Gerer Rebbe. He wasn't a younger Rebbe like he was in Bad Homburg and in the Katovich. He was Shena Rebbe, 17 Jahre Rebbe, 18 Jahre Rebbe, Reb Chaim Oizer. There was also the Chortkove Rebbe, who was the Rebbe of Rabbi Meir Shapiro from Lublin, and the Boyaner Rebbe, Rabbi Meir Don Plotsky, the Klichemder was there present, and Rabbi Shemotche Epstein from Slabodke came, and Rabbi Zalman came from Slutsk, and Rabbi Menachem Zimbe was a younger Rav, came from Varsh. Those were the people who attended there were many more Rabbonim, but they attended this Knessia Agdolah in Elul Tov Reish Pei Gimel. Meir Shapiro had this rayon, is already the rayon that he has back from 1912, This is the story that he has in his head, like he wrote 11 years before. And he came. He started having conversation during the first 2 days with different rabbanim, and some of them were a very severe opposition to the whole rayon of the Daf Yomi. And he decided he's going to Retzach Duch with the Chofetz Chaim. The Chofetz Chaim had his stanze building next. By the way, this Knessia Gedolah took place in the old opera house in Vienna. And the Chofetz Chaim had his stanze, his hotel room, mamish, in the small building next door to it. And the Meir Shapiro was a young Rav. I mean, don't think that he was then he was 36 and a half years old. He was born Zion Adar Tov Reish Mem Zion. We're talking about the Elul Tov Reish Pei Gimel. Is a younger man, 36 years old. It's not the Grace Alter Rav. He was Nifta. He wasn't even 50 years old yet. But Rabbi Meir Shapiro was there, and he comes in and he asks for an appointment to go to see the Chofetz Chaim. I'd like to first say the story, and they say the word the Chofetz Chaim told him. He walked into the Chofetz Chaim and he told him, "Sa'olam vakeltzach the inyan Daf Yomi, yet to suggest, not to suggest." Some people are positioned. They say, "What Torah is going to be given to all the balabatim, Yeder Amoretz from the Adolf at Taverna Balabas of Shas, something which never had before in Klal Yisrael." Chofetz Chaim told him, "Bezeh Loshen Adrabe, vifel mehr ayid keno mashayches Torah is als besser." So he asked the Chofetz Chaim that he should go and present the idea in front of the 5,500 people that were there, attended this huge Knessia Agdolah in Vienna. Chofetz Chaim said, "Tzinish meine an idea. It's not mine, it's yours. I suggest that you go up there and you suggest to the tzibur this rayon of the Daf Yomi." He says, "Rebbe, nobody's going to hear me. I'm telling you, Hashem yeh Hashem imochem giboirei achayil." This is one nusach, common schoes, but he gave him a starke bruch. He just told him as follows. The session is starting Tes Elul at 4 p.m. in the afternoon. He says, "I'm going to be the first speaker." Favos lat men mir ein, Chofetz Chaim was saying, "Favos lat men mir ein, sie doch dort the Talmidei Chachamim. Why are they inviting me to speak of old people? Bistome, weil ich bin a alte Yid und a Kayin. I have 2 miles. I'm an old man and I'm a Kayin, so probably that's the reason why they're calling me to be the speaker there, the first speaker." Anyhow, whoever went to presented, the MC presented the Chofetz Chaim spoke 4 minutes. Did not say a word of Daf Yomi. But he told the Meir Shapiro, "Ich bet dir, I'm asking you, so mit bestellter Benkel fadir leben mir, I asked the Askonim to make a chair for you next to me in the podium, and you should walk in, don't be there for my drasha. You should walk in at 20 minutes after 4 exactly." Says, "Rebbe, why can't I come in the beginning with everyone else? I'm asking you to walk on top of the bima to go into your seat at 4:20 in the afternoon." So Rabbi Shapiro followed the instructions. He comes in at 4:20 in the middle of anywhere. As soon as you see a young Rav coming from behind the curtains, a young Rav walking all the way across the podium, as soon as he walked into the vision and to the sight of everyone, the Chofetz Chaim was an Alte Yid at the time, gets up there and he goes and he muchetzach. Chofetz Chaim always needed 2 people to be next to him since his late 80s, and he picks himself up and he stands Melei Koimose. Versteht sich that everybody else saw, alle Rebbes, Reb Chaim Moiser, everybody saw that Reb Chaim Moiser, that Chofetz Chaim stand up Melei Koimose. Everybody else got up, and everybody's looking. Of course, it became a very big tumult in the hall. Who is this guy? Who is this Rav that the Chofetz Chaim is standing for? Melei Koimose till is set down. Though Mechaber Meir Shapiro said a very long drasha. He was a beautiful orator. He's one of the greatest speakers I once heard from Rav Lau. Rabbi Yisrael Meir Lau was Rav Aroshi. He said his father, the Priatri Kirov, who was a Welt speaker, he said that we always try to imitate. We're trying, the Dmus Duknoi from our Darshan, our Welt's Darshan, was the Lubliner Rov, Rabbi Meir Shapiro, the younger Lubliner Rov. He had a beautiful sprach. He was a major orator, and he knew how to deliver the goods in a way that he kept the Elam's interest from beginning till the end. He gets up there, and he reads the Hachlota of the Ve'ida of Agudath Yisrael. And there he writes, and I'm quoting, here is the words of Rabbi Meir Shapiro. He said it in Yiddish, But here are the words in Lashon Kodesh of Rabbi Meir Shapiro. Uchlat ki hochel me Rosh Hashanah tofreish pei daled. Umachlit, as of Rosh Hashanah, which is going to be exactly 3 weeks later, tofreish pei daled, yesh lilmoid midei yoim beyoimoid daf gemora lefi seder hashas mitchilos. And he said 2702. We have 2711. It's because Maseches Shkolim at the Dfus of Svatilana used to be only 12 blot and not 21 blot that we have Shkolim today. So he said 2702, and he made a cheshbon when it's going to be the Sima Shas according to 2702. By us already today, it's 2711. Shavu benafshechem, stell zach vor sich. Kamaniflu chizoyana Daf Yomi. How beautiful is this Daf Yomi's takone is. Kshenishzgashem, when it will finally be implemented. Hine nesel Yehudi beonio, a Yid fought off in ship, guy travels on a boat, v'tachas beishech maseches brochis, and he carries a brochis. Neseu shvuayim yomim Eretz Yisrael. America takes him 2 weeks to travel from Eretz Yisrael to America. Kol yoim, every day on the boat, im dimdumei chamo, as the sun sets, he learns every day the blot. Ubevoyela America, and as soon as he arrives in America to his destination, New York, he goes into a besmedrash in New York, to his amaze and his surprise, he finds Yidden was a very uncommon phenomenon. I'm coming off the boat. I just learned I'm holding Shabbos Daf Kuf Yud Gimel, and Yidden are holding in the very same Daf that I'm holding. He comes in to join the Daf Yomi Shiur. Be'oisoi chedvo umispalpel imoem. Sits down and they start tummeling on the blot. Nishma nimtza shem shemayim misader misgadol miskadesh. There's no bigger shem shemayim miskadesh than the Yidden are sitting at tummeling. I just got off the boat. They're holding the same blot and they're sitting Yidden on Besmedrash in New York. This is 100 years ago. The Yehudi, another instance, another moshel, I don't know, Me'atzei Sabris from the United States, she'okar leBrazil shebedorim, and went to Brazil. He relocated to Brazil in the south, or leJapan shebeAsia, or he goes to Japan and Asia. He looks at the cook, the scope for Meir Shapiro. Harei usar b'rosh v'rishon leBeis HaMedrash. First thing he gets off the boat in Brazil or in Tokyo, wherever he is, umoitses kulo masukim b'daf shu'oim edayoim. V'chiyesh lecho ichud levavo is godlam. Is there a greater unification of hearts, of Yiddish heart? Godlam is that. V'lo yakzis. Ad ena nishu u'masechta shel lomdo is a tzibur godl v'hoyu ke yisoimes. Rabbi Meir Shapiro used to call it Yisoim Yosem Dike Masechtas. It's to learn an erchin. Which Yid had a psahavamina to learn erchin? Which Yid had a havamina to learn Masechtas which they never ever touched before? Sherak Yechidei Sgulo Chomlu Aleim. He writes it in his beautiful lashon. Yechidei Sgulo Tamil Chachom that had Rachmanis Nebuch Geat on this neglected Masechtas. Ve'adaf Yesaken Hakol. The Daf Yomi will be mesaken everything. You know, Meir Shapiro, during his drosha, he brought down a beautiful Gemara. The Gemara in Yevam is Daf Kuf Chofal Hod Beis. The Gemara is a shayla. The Gemara says is a chiluk if somebody nofal a maim sheyesh lahem soif so ishtem iter. Somebody fell off a boat. The maim sheyesh lahem soif that you could see the shores and the end of the water and he didn't come up. So ishtem iter sinemon he drowned in the water. But maim she'en lahem soif ishta asur. Why? Because you don't know what happened. Maybe somebody picked him up. He went away. You can't see the end of the yam. So the fact that he didn't come up is no raya that he's not alive anymore. Gamliel says a story. And he says, I went in the Sfina. I saw right next to me another boat that was nishbera bayam. I was very mitzvah. I saw Talmid Chacham was on the boat that was drowning in the sea, in the se'ora, in this turmoil in the ocean. Umanu Rabbi Akiva. Who was on the other boat? Rabbi Akiva. When I finally came to the port of where we landed, I see Rabbi Akiva was saved. He came. Who brought you up? Who saved your life? Omali, Daf shel Sfina nizdameli. Rashi says dash is a keresh, a piece of wood of the sin nizdameli. V'kol gal v'gal shebo olai. Every wave that came upon me, apparently to kill me, na'anesi li bereisha. Rashi says I was masking. I didn't disagree with him till I Rabbi Meir Shapiro. We are all in the ocean. There is a turmoil. There is a se'ara. There is a storm. And every gal and gal comes in. Take this daf. The Gemara means daf. The daf means a piece of wood. Take this daf. The daf is the daf ha-Yomi. He said it b'derech tzachus. And you'll be able to overcome all the turmoils, all the huge waves that are threatening to swallow and to kill each and every yid throughout the journey of life. They'll be able to come duch. Just hang on to this daf. And then you'll come to a chayf mivtochim, you'll come to safe harbor. You'll be able to land peacefully throughout the journey of life. Before I go to the words, Chafetz Chaim told him, this word, somebody came to ask me if there is such a vort siyum in Tanakh. There is no such a vort of siyum in Tanakh. But I found a Moyodike Goyen, which is, by me, it was a Metzia, I just found it. There's a pasuk in Mishlin, Perek Yud Zayin, the pasuk says as follows, Es pnei mevin chochme, ve'ein eksil biktsei ha'oretz. Es pnei, something which is lefonov, mevin chochme, the chochem is mevin, what he sees in front of him. Ve'ein eksil, but the eyes of eksil, of a shaita, biktsei ha'oretz, el zocht no the ek of the Welt. Zog the Goyen, I'm reading the Goyen. Anybody wants to look inside Mishlei Perek Yud Zayin Posuk Chav Dalet. Es pnei kloimar hamevin ein roya likpoitz ela mevin mashal lefonov, says the Goyen. Chapnish, the hipperdish, he doesn't jump. He's not going to finish world's record. Aval aksil einov lekatzvei haaretz. Be'ez yaschil lilmoid, when he'll start to learn, Einov yeyachlu l'sayem mashasa masecht. Exil right away starts, he says, I want to get ready to the part of Madison Square Garden. And he's going to get some bracha, and then 2 days later he's going to drop it. But the word siu mashas by the Goyen appear one time, the loshen for the Goyen. Einov l'sayem mashas. A chacham knows, ablat hayin, ablat morgan. I say Rashi says the same. Rashi just doesn't say the word siu mashas. Rashi says, and I want to read the Rashi, HaChochma lefnei mevinhu ve'ein eksil b'chtzeos lo yimar ein HaChochma mitzuya lefonov ki rechoyko yimimeni ve'eich ucha lishnois seder nezikin shu lamed prokim maseches kelim lamed prokim maseches Shabbos chav dalet prokim. There are 3 masechtas. By the way, Shitas Rashi, that a whole Seder Nezikin will become a Mitzvah Bebasa. The Gemara itself, and the Kama Mekoyim in Shas have a din of 1 Masechta Lagabe Stam v'Chakach Machlekes. But Maseches Nezikin was called 1 Maseches Nezikin of all 3 Boves. The 30 prokim 10 will become a 10 Mitzvah Bebasa. So he says the Shaita, the Ksil, Eichu Chalishne Seder Nezikin 30 prokim. Maseches Kelim 30 prokim. Maseches Shabbos Chav Dalet prokim. Aval alachochem dover kalu. Hayoim shayne shnei prokim umochor shnayim ve'oimer kach osu oisom shehoyu lefonai me'oilum. The way to conquer Shas, the ways aperek haint, 2 prokim haint. Don't look for the siyum Shas and fall behind. And they say, leif chochem liyamina is the obsavertel from kamer anoshim gdolim. Leif Chacham, you open up a sefer, Leif Chacham, Liyamina, the Chacham looks at how many blot I already covered. But Leif Ksil, there's another 100 blot to Bavasa, when am I going to finish it? He drops out L'Smoiloi to the left side of the Shas. Makoponim, I just thought of a remez, how many prokim? Rashi says the prokim that brings a person, the Ksil, the difference between the Chacham and the Ksil, which interprets in Siyum Shas, The 30 from Seder Nezikin, the 30 from Kalim, and the 24 from Masechet Shabbos. The 30 and 24 is 84, which is the Gematria of Daf. So the Sachakol, the Peidalid of talking about Prokim, but Al Koponim, the Remez to the Daf. The Goyen says that this Posuk, which Rashi says this is the Chochmah, the difference between Chochmah and Exil. Rashi says it goes on, the Goyen says it goes on Sima Shas. Those Prokim who gives the Exil Chas v'Sholom the idea I should drop out, I can never learn 30 plus 24, but the Chochem takes the one daf, the daf a day, this daf, we should be able to conquer the, there is a machlekes, there is a shaila, how many mishnayos are in Ganshas? There's a big machlekes. Pshaya Berliner was Veltz Goyen, he was the biggest baki. He made a sefer called, the Hebrew called Yeseda La Mishnah. He says that the Mishnayos is 523 Mishnayos in Ganshas. And the reason for that being because the Perek Androgen is the last Perek of Bikurim is at the Sefta, it's not really a Mishnah. And the Perek Shanu Chachom Kinyan Torah, the 6th Perek of Oves, is also a likud from Bryce, it's not Bichlal the Mishnayos. But the Smag, Sefer Mitzvahs, Godel from Moshe Nekutze, and from the Rishonim, he writes, and I quote, Mispar HaProkim, in the end of Sefer HaSmag, you can take a look, Mispar HaProkim, Mishnu 524, V'nosnu lo ze siman al kotshecho, is Begematria 524. He said that Perek Shanu Chachomim, Kinyan Torah is also a Perek, which is a Mishnah, doesn't mean a Bryce, it's a big Arichas, it's a separate subject, B'fnei Atzmai. But very interesting, if it's 524, as Evis Yishtet in the Smag, 524 is also the gematria of the word Talmud Bavli, is 524. And I would like to add one more word. Meir Shapiro, when he was there, it's documented. When he was there, he came in by the Chofetz Chaim. Chofetz Chaim told him, Ich will de weisen agoyen. He says, he's talking about the idea of learning every single day. He says, Al Shabbos Eichet, Yontif Eichet, Erev Shabbos Eichet, Tisha B'Av Pesach, Sukkot, on Afsok. He says, Ich will de weisen agoyen. He opens up, Chofetz Chaim opened up, he had a small Sefer Mishle with the Pirush Rabbeinu Yoina and the Goyen. The Pasuk says, Netzoyer b'ni mitzvah savicho. There's one Pasuk, Shema b'ni mitzvah, but the Pasuk in Perek Vov, Netzoyer b'ni mitzvah savicho ve'al titesh teira simecho. Zog the Goyen, and I'm quoting, Netzoyer b'ni mitzvah savicho, kvar kosafte she'amitzvos einon elo bizmanon. Netzoyer means keep it till certain times. The mitzvah says Sukkot tefillin is in the morning. Krishme, every mitzvah Shabbos is Netzoyer. Watch till you get to that time. Says the Goyen Tomid. Afilu rega echad ki Torah tzorich lilmod Tomid b'chol eisu b'chol shor. Chaim told him the Iker Te'el is the Daf Yomi. Besides that, you give a person kvius and you give a person megan shas to be able to have a yad in kol haTorah kula. The fact that it's Tomid midiyom b'yom v'takone, that it's every single day out of the Jewish calendar, irrespective of whatever happens, if it's a Tzoyim, if it's a Yontif, if it's a Simcha, it's a Shabbos, Erev Yontif, you have to learn this Tomid. That's the big idea. I want to add on, on the Korban HaTomid in the morning, in Parin Sefer Shmoyis at the end, it says in Parashat Tetzaveh, it says, V'zeh shetase shnaim kvosim neshonot mimim shnaim lohem oil Tomid, sakevet echo tase v'boiker, v'sakevet hashen yitase ben ha'arboim. Oilas Tomid ledoiroi seichem. Says Rashi Tomid, I'm quoting Rashi, miyoim el yoim velo yafsik yoim bentayim. What does Rashi mean velo yafsik yoim bentayim? I heard once from my Rebbe B'Shem the Briskerov as follows. Briskerov says that the Gmoin Yevamis in the family base is a shaila. If the din of Esed Deichel say is also by Esed Deichel Sheyesh Bekoris, or only Leisa Sheyesh Bekoris. The more brings a raya from the fact that Korban Tomid is Korban Shabbos. Shabbos is Chayv Krisis if you Mechal Shabbos. And since you see Tomid is Korban Shabbos, now a raya that Esed is Deichel not only Leisa Sheyesh Bekoris, even Yesh Bekoris. So the Gemara slugs up. Mala Tomid Shekain Todu. You can bring a raya. Tomid Shekain Todu. So Briskerov said a beautiful vort. The Yesod of the Din Todir that it says in Tomid, it's not standard, it's Korev B'chol Yoim. It's a halacha, the Tomid has to be Korev, like Rashi says, V'lo Yafsik Yoim B'ntayim. So if you miss a day, it's not that it fell in that day. It fell in the Tomid of tomorrow and the Tomid of yesterday. The Yesod of Tomid is Mi Yoim L'Yoim V'lo Yafsik Yoim B'ntayim. The Gemara said that Tchiyas Shabbos, it says in Tomid, because if you won't be makriv Shabbos, you're not going to have a Tomid, not on Friday, not on Sunday. The beauty, the takone of each one to be able to cope through kol gal v'gal from the turmoil of life is not only in being able to have some kind of a scope of covering kol ateri kula. Tomid mi yoyim im yoyim v'lo yafsik yoyim bein nosayim.